What's your management perspective in the sense of, some management, some people think you should lead with a carrot and some with a stick, a strict, harsh kind of disciplinarian mode, or more of a carrot, nurturing type of mode. What would you say you're closer to in terms of how you would manage your staff?
The most important thing I see.
I think the buzz might be caused because the microphone is too loud.
Okay.
So.
I think in large part, speaking to actually what I was just talking about, in large part it's having clear expectations and being consistent and, this is what I expect. This is what, knowing what your guys have to offer, and don't leave the room for error. As far as, my management style, there's a process for getting things done. It's not my style to yell and scream, and it's just not something I'm going to do. My expectations will be clear, and they will be met. And it's funny, people have a real response to rise to expectation. And if you have high expectations, you won't have to yell and scream, and you can just move forward.
Awesome. So what's your platform, Mike? What are the top 3 issues you want to address?
My platform, I guess it's more what I believe. You asked about management style. It's what we need, what New Paltz needs as a community, in its highway superintendent, is it needs somebody who is conscientious of the world around, concerned about the employees, about the community. Somebody dedicated to an open and accountable government. Somebody who's using a long-term perspective to guide the department into tomorrow. And we need to have a collaborative approach with that. I mean, we have to work. We're right here. We have the 2 communities nestled right together. And we have the county coming in within our borders. And the state coming within our borders to do road maintenance on areas that are their jurisdiction. And it's important to work with these other agencies and with other agencies within the town, with the village, to move forward.
So tell me a specific, maybe narrow objective. What's something you really start to do on the first day? Just a small thing that you could do specifically.
Well, there's a lot of specifics. The first step is to find out where we are. Step out, inventory, and say this is where we are, because you have to know where you are before you can figure out where you're going.
This is true. Awesome. So I see your campaign flyer says balanced environmental and economic perspective. Can you tell me exactly what that means and why you think that's a reasonable goal and realistic goal?
It's interesting. As soon as you say environmental or green, everybody says, "Oh, the price tag. Here goes the price tag. It's going up." And it's not at all true. I mean, sure, some things are going to have added expenses, and a lot of things are just knowing the right processes and the right steps and just having the plan in order to make things happen appropriately. An example of that would be, tree trimming for the right-of-ways, for the roadways, for the ditches, for signage. We do a lot of it. I mean, we have a lot of equipment dedicated, but we're not necessarily doing the pruning right. Well, we've already spent the money to do the job. We've already spent the time and the equipment to do it. And for just a little bit of training and just a little bit of knowledge that passed down to the guys, again, with the clear expectation that this is the right way, the trees can be pruned appropriately. And we can still see our signs, and the roads are still safe. And it hasn't cost us anything more. And in the end, if the tree's trimmed properly, it's going to be healthier. And we're not going to have to come back in 2 years and take it down. So it's not even a matter of, can they be comparable price-wise? They can save us money.
Right. Plus, we don't want to kill the trees. I was astounded when somebody told me that if you do it wrong and trim it wrong, the tree can actually die. But if you just take the right steps and prune it appropriately, then you're keeping the tree. And obviously, there's reasons why we want to keep trees.
A tree is a living organism too.
Helps us with a lot of things. Also on your flyer, it says sustainable long-term planning and maintenance. You've kind of alluded to it, but could you hum a few more bars on what that means and why you think it's important enough to put on your flyer?
Because that's ultimately what we need to do. I mean, to get specific with it, you could say the infrastructure. And the infrastructure is in two parts. I mean, part of it is the infrastructure, the roads and the bridges and the culverts and the drainage ditches that we have. And part of it's the infrastructure that we have as part of the highway department. The building, the equipment, the trucks. We depend on a lot of trucks, and some of them are old, and we need to have a real plan in place for replacing these. Everything has a service life. Maintaining them during their service life, but have a plan so that we don't get caught short replacing everything all at once. Because when it's broken on the side of the road, nobody's willing to talk price.
Right.
Nobody's willing to give you their concern.
So you have been endorsed by the Working Families Party, correct? You have the ballot line for Working Family, and also the Independence Party. You already have those. You're going to be on the ballot for those two parties. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat, but
For how long?
as been
It's okay.
since I've been in Newport. The working families and the independence parties. When I looked and considered looking at those lines, I said, they're what their goals and their beliefs and their values are in line. I mean, they're ultimately their goals are the same as mine. Ultimately, my goal is, as I said, I am a Democrat. I've been a Democrat, and it is my goal to get the Democratic nomination, the line of my party.
So on September 14th, you'll be there that
At
Monday
September
night
14th,
at the high school,
At the high school,
trying to get the nod.
I will be there.
So it's interesting to me. A lot of people. I went last year. I knew nothing about it before, and there was only about 90 people there. That was for one town board race. I wonder how many people will show up this year. There's been a lot of talk about it, and I know as a person who's interested in little d democracy, I hope we get lots of big D Democrats to come down and vote that night. So you're a newcomer to local politics. What can you share about your campaign and what that's been like?
I'm a newcomer to this side of the table of politics. I've been here for my whole life. For 33 years I've been in New Paltz, and it's a small town, and even if you don't pay attention, as far as the campaign and being involved in it, it's been great. I got to see one side of New Paltz growing up here. I got to see another side. I ran with the volunteer fire department for 12 years here, and I got to see another part of New Paltz, and now raising my daughter here, yet another side, and working through this campaign process and the political process here is just another side of New Paltz I get to see.